Hey, how's it going? It's John Suntress, and welcome to Word Balloon. You found us. That's excellent. If this is your first time, please consider subscribing to us via iTunes or Stitcher or certainly Last FM and all the various places you can find podcasts. Word Balloon is invariably there. Subscribe. Please let me know what you think of the show. Write ratings over at Apple's podcast platform and give me a review. You can say nice things, you can say lousy things. You suck, John, and let me tell you why. Happy to hear your feedback either way. But do me a favor and like me where you can and leave comments. And also, as always, email me, john@wordballoon.com. I'm interested in your feedback. I'm interested in what you're thinking about the content that I put here. Also, I have a YouTube channel under Word Balloon. Would you please consider subscribing there? I've got about 400 plus subscribers currently. I'd like to get to at least 1,000 and start generating more video content. So go to YouTube and click on the Word Balloon channel and please subscribe.
Terrificon, Connecticut's biggest Comic-Con, returns to Mohegan Sun, August 9th to the 11th. Meet Billy D. Williams, Val Kilmer, Doctor Who's John Barrowman, and the voices from Animaniacs and Thundercats. New England's largest guest list of comic book artists from DC and Marvel Comics is at Terrificon on August 9th to the 11th at Mohegan Sun. Tickets on sale now at Terrificon.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Hey, right off the bat, thanks very much. Everyone's been really nice with great feedback about the show lately. The fact that there are more episodes and they've enjoyed the conversations lately, truly appreciated. Thank you, and thank you again, as always, for your support to the League of Word Balloon listeners via Patreon. It's all greatly appreciated. Got a great conversation for you today, and that's with Kelly Sue Deconnick. Happy birthday, Kel. She actually told me before we started recording, because Bendis had a nice dinner for Kel, a birthday dinner, but it was last week. And so when we spoke last Monday, I'm like, hey, happy birthday. She's like, actually, it's next week, the 15th. So as I'm releasing this on the 15th, we wish Kelly Sue a happy birthday. And she had a great week last week. She was on the Today Show. Fantastic. 3-minute profile, but got right to the point. And they did their homework, and they had her background down. And Tallulah, her daughter, even made a great little appearance, and I thought did a terrific job. Hey, man, it's tough when you got the camera stuck in your face. And she did great. But also, she's doing fantastic on Aquaman. Such a fan of this run. She's been doing it since, I want to say, December. And great opportunity. We spoke. Issue 49 had just come out the week before. Or I should say, maybe day of. You know, now that I think of it, we did talk on Wednesday, and yeah, I think it was out. And we preview what's to come in 50. There's some great stuff going on. There's, of course, the drama between Aquaman and Mera, who are currently separated. Mera is running Atlantis. Aquaman kind of running from himself. Had that amnesia problem, but is remembering who he is. And some last conversations with Mera that maybe he'd like to take back. We cover that in detail with Kel, and do a lot of comparisons to, like, well, first of all, how, you know, what attracted her to do this for DC, and it's a good backstory, and we really get into a lot of a deep dive, if you will, on Aquaman. I know, bad pun, but also other great stuff like Pretty Deadly is coming back, fucking amazing. Emma Rios and Kel. Great series. It's been very interesting shifting arc to arc where the focus has shifted. It's going to shift again for arc number 3. She kind of lays out the plans for this current story arc and also what's to come in arc 4. And also we get a little status report on, of course, Bitch Planet with her and Val DeLandro. Another fantastic milk-fed comic masterpiece. A lot of stuff. And also, you know, hey, she's a mom and she's a television writer. And we get into both of those subjects and juggling all that, not just as a mom. I am always very careful to point out that I try to, you know, talk to Kel as a person. And also, you can't help it. The culture wars are around us. And I know sometimes that bums out some of the audience when things get like that. There's nothing really political per se in this conversation, but we do kind of hit some, I think, again, recent culture war issues. And I really, really respect Kel's opinion on these. And as I always say, you know, middle-aged, white, you know, cisgender dude, and trying the best I can. And sometimes as much as I identify with the left, I get frustrated with the left. And Kel and I kind of hash out a couple things that I appreciate, that she's willing to do. And, I don't always plan to do this. And sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, don't get into it. But she's always great and willing to jump in. And I learn a lot, and I appreciate a different point of view. And I think she comes from a very earnest place in all of her opinions, whether it's about comics or what's happening in life right now. So really, she's one of my favorite people. Forget about journalistic objectivism in this. It's out the window. I can't help it. I've known Kelly Sue and Matt Fraction, the couple, for, almost as long as I've been doing Word Balloon. I met them at my first San Diego. When I first met them face-to-face, we immediately hit it off and had a blast. And, of course, the week of San Diego always makes me think. And that's usually where I wind up seeing them. You'll hear all of it in the interview. But I love this conversation with Kelly Sue, as I always do. And I'm really happy to bring it back to you on Word Balloon today. Again, brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. If you like the show and you want to subscribe, go to patreon.com. That's where Word Balloon's portal is. Patreon.com/Word Balloon. Or if you click on the Patreon ad on the front page of wordballoon.com, it'll take you to my Patreon site. Do you like Word Balloon? Is it worth the price of a comic book a month? Is it worth $1 a month even? If you think so, if you like what I do here, you're really helping me out. And I thank you very much for being subscribers to Word Balloon, League of Word Balloon listeners. This episode is also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. We've been talking about Aftershock Comics for quite some time. There's a reason for that. Yeah, they're a sponsor, but I got to tell you, I like this stuff. I really do think that Marguerite Bennett's Animosity is a very interesting and unique book. And I always love when Garth Ennis is writing military stuff, but also some crazy shit as well, like A Walk Through Hell. And I love Jimmy's Bastards. And there's Dark Ark from Cullen Bunn and Juan Doe, a new take on Noah's Ark. They're coming back with a new arc of that, I think, in the fall. Donny Cates' Baby Teeth. There's also new stuff. Also a presentation of stuff like Joe Pruitt's horror anthology, Shock, which, man, I'll tell you, Joe's been collecting these stories since the Caliber days. And the list of creators that he has on Shock will blow you away. There's also new projects. Chris Sabella's Trust Fall. We talked to him last month about that. Upcoming, there's Matthew Klickstein's You Are Obsolete and Cullen Bunn's Knights Temporal. Very excited about those books. In the weeks ahead, we'll have more Aftershock creators on to talk about their projects. You don't have to wait. Check out their website. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll find a book that you like. You'll find free full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on these books to order through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. All right, let's get into it. Nice deep dive, as I said, with Kelly Sue Deconnick. Yeah, we're talking Aquaman. We're talking Pretty Deadly, some Bitch Planet, and also her television writing as well, which is really fantastic. I'm very excited for her, and I think you will be too. Always happy to welcome Kelly Sue back, Kelly Sue Deconnick, on Word Balloon. Kelly Sue Deconnick, welcome back to Word Balloon. It's been forever. I've missed you, but I'm cheering you from afar.
You, buddy.
Thank you. Aw. Yeah. I know. Last time we saw each other face to face, we were at San Diego and going in opposite directions. And I see you and Matt, and I hug you, and I'm like, I miss you. And then I hug and kiss him. I'm like, I miss you. And we kept walking.
Yes, and then we battled over who you missed more. You missed that part. We had talk about it. Our marriage almost didn't survive, but that's good.
Hey, man, right off the bat, I saw your Today Show piece from yesterday as we're recording, and that was fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jesus, man.
I won't watch it. I refuse to watch it. I'm sharing it with everyone and celebrating it, and it was a wonderful experience, and everybody was kind. But yeah, I know myself well enough to know that I will focus on all the wrong things, and it will undermine my confidence, and I just don't need to do that.
Kel, this is why I don't do video on YouTube or anything like that. And I mean, I'm a radio guy. Believe me, I know. The times I do television, I die 1,000 deaths every time I see myself. I know what you mean. But you did. We
do these short little videos on Instagram.
Yeah, I know. I was watching that one from last week. Go on.
All I can, I say 90,000 times.
Nah.
And I think I do a lot of podcasts. I'm reasonably good at. No, I'm not.
I think you're excellent. What are you talking about? Go on.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. I keep promising. I'm like, we'll get better at it. We're not getting better.
Oh, please. So. Matt's the one that's lost. It's great. First of all, I love, like, you're like going on. You got your agenda. We're doing this. We're doing that. Everything's fine. And Matt's just waiting. Okay. And then it's Matt's turn. It's like, Yeah.
He comes in with a bomb prepared to fuck everything up. Like, oh my God.
No, you are the envy. Honestly, as I always say, you guys are like the most organized couple I know in terms of the way you handle your business. And, God, the kids look great. Tallulah was great on the Today Show thing. She was fantastic.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. No, it's crazy, man. Seriously, I love seeing my friends' kids, and as they get older and stuff, it's, like, thrilling and shocking because sometimes it is a couple of years in between.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, man. No,
dude, Henry Leo is taller than me, which is a low bar. It's a low bar, but all the same.
Oh, man. All right, but control.
We have pictures of me with every one of the Bendis children as they pass me by. Pretty exciting. It's a really important day in every Bendis child's life, the day you outgrow Kelly Sue.
That's hilarious. Excellent. So instead of marking the wall or the frame of the door or whatever, you stand in the corner.
I'm the ruler. Lucky for London, I think I'm getting shorter in my old age, so...
It happens,
he's
buddy.
He's going to pass me quicker than anybody else.
I've lost half an inch. I'm 5'9". They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, I've always been 5'9". They're like, yeah, you're 5'8.5". I'm like, okay. It's like, all right, I guess. I know it happens. I guess. I know my nephews tower over me. It cracks me up. But anyway, so we're a day since Aquaman 49. Mm-hmm. And you're getting it's the next phase. I mean, poor Aquaman's been running around without his memory, Andy. And the gods that you've created, have you created all this mythos of the ocean as far as these old gods and everything?
I mean, not really. I brought them into the DC universe, but they're all gods I've stolen from different. I guess they're cultural appropriation, but
I wasn't even thinking of that, but okay.
But it was an effort at equity because we appropriate from
Greek and
Norse mythology and comics a ton. The idea was that we're so integrated with all of this white people history. Let's bring in some of the traditions from other places in the world.
That's cool. That's great.
And so, so it was cool. Every culture has a creation myth, and every culture has old gods, and almost every culture has an ocean god or a water god of some sort. And so,
gotcha.
The hardest part was like narrowing it down. But it was fun, and I wish there were more women, but I was kind of trying to work from a place of the existing pantheons,
I'm with you. No, that's cool. Well, and certainly Callie's journey, Andy's friend, Aquaman's friend that he's come to know as he's trying to discover himself. I like her journey alongside of Aquaman's journey and everything.
She's from, and that's a Celtic myth, the Kylok. The Kylok. She's this hag monster, which is pretty cool.
So she's like a sea hag kind of. Interesting. Yeah. Wow. She shapes hills and valleys. She's super powerful. Very cool. Excellent. Yeah. Well, we saw her transformation, of course, and now she's very demonic looking and blue, and
Yeah.
I wonder.
But the one thing with her is the rest of them are the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Callie sort of contains this force. So she isn't the Kylok. The Kylok is a part of her, but it's kind of like the Hulk, where she's. I'm sure everybody from DC is going to love me saying that. They're going to be like, "Oh, that's great! How you're using the Marvel thing as the metaphor." I'm really into that. We're probably going to send you a bonus, but thanks, you guys. My direct deposit is set up. You can just take care of that. But yeah, so. It's kind of similar to Banner and the Hulk in that she's sort of she has to contain the Kylok. And so that's one of the things that one of the other gods says to her is, you know, she says, I have a monster inside me. Or, and they say, you know, I can't remember exactly what the line is, but it's something like, no, you have power inside of you, and whether or not it's monstrous is up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool. Now, I'll tell you the comparison I saw on Aquaman's journey, and I don't know if this was, you know, direct or not, because it is still different. It truly is. But it reminded me of when Denny O'Neil was writing The Question, and he drowned Vic Sage, and Vic Sage came out a changed man. And, you know,
that's interesting. Yeah, that was not intentional, but yeah, that's cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. Though that's
Denny O'Neil. He's all right. Yeah, he's okay. He might have a future.
Have you read that run with him and Dennis Cowan?
I haven't.
It's great. Oh, it's great. That's one of the like 80s gems and everything. And he gets very mystical and introspective in a different way than what you're doing with Arthur and everything. But no, I like it. Well, and also it's an opportunity, I guess, to retell Aquaman's origin too.
Okay.
I mean, or at least that's how I'm taking what you're doing with the character. You tell me.
Yeah. I mean, it was very much an effort to, I'm not trying to it's not a reboot.
Right.
I'm not wiping anything out. I'm not starting anything over. But the idea was we were coming in at the same time as the movie and being optimistic and hoping that we were going to have maybe some new readers coming in off of the film. We wanted to kind of revisit the basics of Arthur. And then also to try to find, and this is hard, to try to find a middle ground in his characterization that feels both true to the character as we've seen him in the comics, which has changed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But something that doesn't feel like a record scratch to the comics reader, and something that doesn't feel like a record scratch to somebody who comes in off the film. And that's hard. That's super hard because, you know, look, the studio's spending millions of dollars and making billions of dollars on this commercial for our book.
Sure.
We want to honor that by, you know, having something there that's at least vaguely recognizable to the film goer and making them feel welcome in comics. And hey, maybe this will be their stepping stone to more of our community. But also we don't want to turn our backs on, we don't want to, you know, in any way prioritize that over, you know, the reader who's been loving Aquaman since they were, you know, 8 or whatever.
Sure. Absolutely, man. Yeah.
And both of those things are vitally important. And so trying to find a way to keep the story moving forward while also looking back and making sure that the new reader has all of those touch points. Like, here's what you need to know. You need to know his origin. The 3 things we hit on were you need to know his origin, you need to know that he was king of Atlantis and isn't king of Atlantis anymore. You need to know about Mara, and you need to know about the Justice League.
Yep.
And so we hit all of those, and then, you know, his 2 big villains are Ocean Master and Manta.
Yeah.
Ocean Master is pretty well covered in the film, so we're not worried about that too much. Also, I was specifically tasked even, to write stories taking place on land since he had spent so much time in Atlantis over the last couple of years. And Ocean Master's problem with Arthur isn't personal to Arthur. I mean, it is personal to Arthur, but it's not really. Like, if Arthur gives up Atlantis, then he doesn't care.
Right.
He's all about Atlantis.
Right.
You know? For Manta, it's much more about Arthur. So now we're we got the basics all covered. I've sort of presented a characterization that I think walks that line between the two. And now we're kind of trying to get the team back together, as it were, building up a supporting cast, establishing the place that Amnesty Bay is, giving it a real sense of place. So we know who lives there and what are the landmarks there. I was talking about it in terms of, like, I want you to know Amnesty Bay as well as Metropolis or Gotham, right?
Sure.
And then bringing back Aqualad and Manta as well.
So is that Garth Aqualad, or is that Manta's son Aqualad?
It's Jackson Hyde, Manta's son.
Okay, yeah. And I'm excited. Obviously, this was 49 this week, 50 coming up, and Manta coming up for 50, apropos. I
should have sent you 50. I'm sorry. I should have done that. Then we could have talked about it.
That's okay. Well, that's all right. Well, I don't mind being on the same page as a reader. That's cool. That's all right, buddy. You're not bi-weekly. You're still monthly, right?
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, I'm up. Yeah.
No.
Good Lord.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry, but yeah, it's like Candyman. Don't worry. I won't say it anymore. But I just know I feel for all of the double ship people. I used to feel bad for Marvel for the 18 issue a year people. I kind of feel like that's what drove Ed away. And it's just, I can't think like that. And I honestly, no, I think it burns people out. I'm amazed at King and Josh Williamson and, the people that can do it and stuff. Brian, we always know Brian's at least 6 months ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I got other books and I got children and I got, I have a day job developing television,
I do. I hope
can't do all the things.
I hope we can, as much as you can, talk about whatever's in the future for TV, get in the past as well. I want to get to that. But here, I'll throw in I want to see if I can find the question. I mean, it's an obvious question, but people had asked, what drew you to Aquaman in the first place?
I wasn't drawn to Aquaman in the first place.
Did they suggest it to you?
So Brian was sick. Brian Bendis, regular listeners of your podcast know very well. Brian was very, very ill. And we were all kind of hanging out in his hospital room trying to cheer him up. Brian is the most buoyant human being I know. He sees the best in everyone. I think that's what makes him so good to write Superman and Spider-Man. I think those are natural fits for him because I don't know. He's an upward facing, buoyant kind of guy. I've never seen him really down,
Yeah.
And when I saw him in the hospital, I saw him not the first time, but after a while, he was distraught. He was depressed. He was not the Brian that I know. And it was hard. I understand it. I had been through something like that when I was younger, where I was starting to fear like I was never going to get out of the hospital. I had gone through that. I knew what that felt like, but I'd never seen it in him. And it was hard. But, we have a close community of people that, look after each other and love each other. Our families are very close. And so Brian and Greg and Matt and I and David Walker and I don't know who all else were, David Marquez. Let's see, who else did I say? Like, everybody was hanging out in the hospital room, kind of taking shifts or hanging out together or whatever, just trying to, Brian likes to talk about like, basically, I would say two things, but it's really three things. He likes to talk about his family, comic books, and movies. That's pretty much it, And I guess TV shows too. Four things Brian likes to talk about. We would just kind of, he had just made the move to DC and it was like fantasy casting a movie. We were like kind of fantasy casting our friends on different books, Okay. And I think, Brian was like, oh, it's my dogs.
That's cool. That's cool.
Dogs. Or Brian was like, yeah, you should pitch on Supergirl or something. I don't, or Kelly Sue can do Supergirl, something along those lines. And I was like, yeah.
Been there.
I made my career. Yes, I have been there. I did do 3 issues of Supergirl. But I made my career based on Carol Danvers, who's an overpowered blonde. So maybe going and doing Kara Danvers, who is an overpowered blonde, would not be like the most not show my range really in the way I'm hoping. So we kind of had a laugh about that. And basically I love Cara Danvers. She's a great character, but there's only sort of one way in I have for that particular, and I've done it, So I was like, well, I can't do that. And then we talked about a few other things, and then Brian just sort of offhand said Aquaman. And I was like, no. And then Matt was like, hold on. There's like two things. One, I don't know what you on Aquaman looks like. That is insane. I would never think of it. I have no idea what that is, and that is intriguing to me. And I think he used the word dangerous. I'm like, that's like catnip for me, and he knows it, So I was like, wait, it's not safe? I must go to there. And then he's also like, and I would like to point out, in the DC cinematic universe, Aquaman is portrayed by Mr. Jason Momoa. Right. And I was like, oh, hold on. I'm listening. So,
do you like do you like his acting? I mean, I liked him on Stargate Atlantis back in the day, and I always find him incredibly likable. And plus, he's a hell of a specimen. God. I mean, he's a beautiful man. Don't get me wrong, but
I think he's incredibly charming. I don't know what he's like as a human being. I've heard stories in both directions. Okay. I don't care. I don't know him as a human being. That does not affect my life in one way or another.
No, separate the art from the artist. I'm him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I find him enormously charming on screen. Yeah. And that was the thing about the Aquaman movie when we did see it was this is sort of the downside is you're not really rooting for Aquaman. You're really rooting for Jason Momoa. And that's a little bit of a I'm not sure if that's what we were going for, but it works. So whatever. Everybody's rooting. That's the important thing. But yeah, and in fact, I had so much anxiety about the book right before it was come out that I had a dream. My dreams are never like, what does that mean? My dreams are like incredibly obvious. I'm like the most unsubtle subconscious of any human being on the planet. And I had this dream that I was directing Jason Momoa in a film. I never directed a film before. My friend, who's a film director that I worked with on the TV show that I did in whatever year that was,
Emerald City?
A couple years ago. It was either called Redliners or The Assignment, or it changed titles, and it didn't get picked up, so it doesn't matter.
Oh,
but
okay.
I wrote a pilot with Sean Cassidy.
Oh, wow. God damn, he's awesome. Good Lord.
Yes, he's great. And he's a lovely human being.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Sean and I wrote a pilot together, and then this guy Jason Ensler directed the pilot, but we were there. We were producers on the pilot, executive producers on the pilot, and wrote it was a tremendous experience, but we were there for the whole thing, and so I was watching Jason direct and trying to learn from him. And so in my dream, I'm directing Jason Momoa in a movie, and he's 10 feet tall.
Okay.
And you and I have met, you listeners, if they missed the earlier part of this conversation, I am only 5 feet tall, if I stand up real straight. And so he was so tall, he couldn't hear me in my dream. And so I kept having to be Mr. Momoa, and he would just sort of look down at me who's that tiny person making noise? Anyway, I didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, that was sort of how it felt. That was my subconscious being oh, look at you playing with this huge iconic character with this long history. Don't mess it up. I know. I'm very clever.
Do you think giving Aquaman this memory problem, was that yourself kind of even saying, okay, well, who is he about? And we'll take this journey together, he and me?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, look, it's a trope. I know it's a trope, but I liked it as a way to for he and I to discover who he is.
Yeah.
And for the new reader to be able to hit the high points, right?
Okay.
Like, what do you need to know? And kind of just sort of get the basics and find his voice and all of that. And, I have been incredibly blessed in this journey to have as my partner. I'm going to take a deep breath because this is a foreign name. I always want to say Robson Roca, and it is actually Robson Roca.
Okay.
Fabio Moon sent me
pronunciation.
A pronunciation guide.
Fantastic. It's like Ivan Hayes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not judging you. It's very hard foreign names, but here you go. It's Robson Roca.
Cool.
So, I'm working on it. Anyway.
I'm with you.
Robson is a incredibly gifted, very charming, super fun dude to work with.
Cool.
Yeah, and, I hit him early on with, you and I have talked about this before, but, like, I'm not a visual thinker, which is weird for a comic book creator, but I think I like to think, because the alternatives are not fun, but I like to think it makes me a good collaborator, because I'm never stepping on the toes of the visual artist, because that's not really the direction that I come from.
Sure.
So I'm writing for emotional beats, and I think of everything in terms of sound. So I will talk a lot about rhythm, and I'll talk about the sound and the tone, right? And sometimes we're talking about a visual rhythm, but it's rhythm nonetheless. And how I'm sort of translating how I think the book sounds, or how the book feels to me rhythmically, into pictures. And so I will tend to refer to all of my books as having the tones of different artists. And so, when I did Avengers Assemble, that was AC/DC. When Carol Danvers was Tom Petty. Pretty Deadly is Maricone.
Sure.
I would say that Bitch Planet is actually Stax Records, so it's not just one particular artist. But
that's
like
awesome.
Kind of,
sure, Muscle Shoals and the R&B sound of Stax, absolutely.
Yeah. And then, and so it was like, for this one, what I want this to be like mythic and sexy and big, and like the kind of thing that's spray painted on the side of a van. So this is Zeppelin.
Oh, interesting. Okay, sure. Yeah. All right.
And Robson has just run with it, and it's like he's nailed it. Like he's, there's even something a little bit Robert Plant about the way he draws him, and
I can see that. Okay.
Yeah, like and he's got a vest. In, I think 51, he's got a vest on, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Zeppelin.
Yeah, it's
right
70s Zeppelin, absolutely. Yeah. Song remains the same, absolutely. That's funny. Yeah. You're killing me.
So it's great. So we had a really, really good time with that, and it's a great shorthand, right? Like Zeppelin is like, what is more basic than water? His name is Waterman, right?
Sure.
Almost every creation myth begins in the water. Actual scientific beginning of life begins in the water. Yep. So, it's base, it's elemental, it's sensual, it's flowing, it's like, all of these things that are like that big sound. So
that's cool. No, I'm with you now. I'm going to dovetail into a question that Benji's Toy Story said, and he goes, "It feels like DC have made it their goal to keep Aquaman and Mera apart, despite them being as iconic a couple as Green Arrow and Black Canary. I've always thought they deserve an Aquaman and Mera book more than Arthur deserves his own title. Is there any chance of them just being together and sharing in adventures rather than more Atlantean politics or death, or dare I say Dolphin keeping them apart?" I love Dolphin, I have to confess, but I do love Mera as well.
Yeah, I agree that they are an incredibly iconic couple, and I think they were also like the first married couple in comics. And I have there's always a huge debate about like, well, there's certain people that think having our heroes be married either ages them too much or lowers the drama too much or something.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, like, oh my God, comics editors. Hey, if you're a comics editor, turn off right now. I don't want you to hear me say this.
They don't listen, don't worry.
Oh, good. Okay. Comics editors just have, like, a really stupid, annoying obsession with love triangles.
They want them or they don't like them?
They want them.
Go on.
Because they insist that it sells comics, and I don't know.
You got your Archie, Betty, Veronica. You got your Clark, Lois, Lana back in the day.
Yeah, but like, what year is this, you guys? So, yeah, I know, and then, like, that's always at that. Well, you can argue, but it works. I'm like, dude.
Is that shit, honestly? And Kel, I'm a knuckle dragging white man, but goddamn it, I come to you to learn. Is that kind of shitty towards women suggesting the triangle? Tell me.
No, I mean, well, yeah,
okay.
But it's more than that. I mean, it's not even. I mean, if the male's your protagonist, and presumably they would want a love triangle and with a female-led book as well. But it's not even about that. It's just like. Oh, it's so fucking tired.
All right, yeah, it's just old. It's just old. I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
But, I also...
you could do Diana, Clark, and Bruce if you really want to, I mean, if Clark wasn't married to Lois, but go on.
Yeah, I really, really don't want to. So there you go. But, like, that's not my thing. I also don't, like, I'm not into writing romance comics. That's not my shit,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, my point being that I'm not especially interested in love triangles, even though every fucking editor I've ever had is trying to force one. And I do feel very strongly, as someone who is a married person, that being married does not undermine drama.
I can only imagine.
I got plenty of drama. Yeah. Thank you. But anyway, so I am interested, oddly enough, in the Mara, Arthur relationship.
Yeah.
And it plays heavily into my plans for the book. But I don't. I also think it's okay for adult people to have challenges in their relationships that they have to overcome.
Sure.
And right now, Arthur and Mara have a big scary thing happening that they need to overcome. And I.
Well, are you just referring to the fact that obviously Mara's pregnant? And I mean, I love that flashback scene of, hey, I'm pregnant, and certainly it wasn't Aquaman's intent, but it could be read as, hey, I'm pregnant. Oh, really? Okay, listen, I got to go get a pack of cigarettes. I'll be right back.
Yes, totally. Yes, and from her perspective, that's exactly what happened, right? From her perspective. She has given up everything in her world, everything that she knew and everything that she valued. She was sent to kill him. No longer welcome in Zebel,
yes,
right?
Right. She is now welcomed in her world. She was sent to kill Aquaman. Instead, she falls in love with him. They get together, and boom.
Yes.
And I'm pregnant with your child.
Like Medea, she has sacrificed everything for him. His world is now her world. In fact, more than it is his world, she is now the Queen of Atlantis.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
And she's real good at it, which is interesting as well. And something she doesn't kind of know what to do with.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. And it's all good. Yes.
She realizes, finds out she's pregnant, and suddenly the fact that they live these very, very different lives is a thing. And it's like, all right, we got to figure this out. Right. And then, and for him, Atlantis is this place that he's been told is his birthright, but every time he tries to go back there, like, it spits him out.
Yep.
Atlantis is not kind to him.
Half-breed. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so even though he makes the claim, he says, look, my home is wherever you are. And he means it when he says it. When he's in this place where he feels like he's an interloper, and she tells him, you're going to be a father. And he thinks about what his mother did to him.
Yes.
Right? How she abandoned him for her responsibilities.
Yes.
And they've just been, and he's thinking about his responsibilities, and he almost dies about once a month, right? Or does die once a month, depending on your perspective. And like, what happens if he does that and leaves a child?
Right.
And then can he give up those responsibilities in order to be more dependably there for a child? Can he give up who he is? Like, it's big fucking questions.
Atta girl. Damn straight.
And he doesn't feel to think about this stuff. He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, he just needs a minute. Yeah.
So
to process.
Aggressively antagonistic to him.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And so he just needs to, he's like, we had Clayton letter it, so it feels like he's just trying to escape his thoughts.
Right. Now, that's a great scene. It really is a great scene. And, I mean, you can appreciate her desperation and his desperation coming from a very different place of, no, you don't understand. I really need to be alone. No, I need you now. We've got to deal with this. I just gave you everything. And I need you to, like, tell me that it's going to be all right. No, that was great, bud. That was really good scene. Absolutely.
And she's established as an aggressive, hawk-like character.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was a thing, like, I had a couple of critiques that were like, is this because she's hormonal? And it's like, no, it's because she's Mara.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's like, no, she's pissed. She's like, she's going to feel like most in control if they can make these decisions and have a plan right now. And he's like, no, I need a minute. And she's like, no. And then she says, I'm your queen. You can't leave. And like, and for him, that's a step too far. And he's like, I'm not leaving you. I just need a minute. And then she loses her mind.
Yeah.
And it's not like she goes crazy, like she's hysterical. It's like she gets pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because she is a superhero and Aquakinetic, pissed off for her, it's not the same thing as, it's like me getting mad and throwing something.
I'm with you.
It's not the most adult behavior in the world, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not hormonal. Yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
No. No. It totally comes from an obvious, real place. Absolutely. And not that hormonal isn't real, but yeah. I mean, it's feelings, and it's, who they both are. And her, like you said, I mean, she sacrificed everything. I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's a bit I love in 50, which isn't out yet, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway.
Talk to me. That's all right.
Where Aquaman's telling Wonder Woman about it, and she's like, wait, so she tells you that she's pregnant, and
you walked away.
and you're like, I have to leave now, and she's like, I might have killed you too, and he's like, I wasn't leaving her. I didn't need to leave her. I meant to leave Atlantis. And then Wonder Woman's like, she's queen of Atlantis. And he's like, yes, I know that now. Thank you.
That's cool. So, and again, Art Franklin is another person that asked if Wonder Woman was going to possibly make an appearance. So Arthur can confide in Diana, and they are friends. Because I love that, and I also loved in Flashpoint back in the day when Atlantis and the Amazons were, against each other, and even in the Justice League movie, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was there where we saw that little moment and everything.
Yeah.
But so he can confide in Diana and say, what did I do wrong or whatever, or help me out with this.
Yeah, there's a couple of good moments between them I like.
Cool.
And there's a moment too where she's like, so the tattoos are new, and he's like, yeah, a gift from the gods, and she goes, yeah, I know that one. So.
Yeah, well,
or
that's
been
the
there or something. I don't remember.
Well, there you go. And absolutely, no, there's a lot of similarities between the two of them. They would obviously be kindred spirits in terms of, abdicating the throne at some point, or of being of two worlds. And no, I like it.
Totally. And and she's so grounded in mythology, and that's the thing that I'm trying to do with him, is have him grounded in mythology a bit as well. So
very cool.
So that's fun.
I like it. Now it's funny, and again, I put out our first talk about Captain Marvel. I put it out a couple weeks ago, and I didn't remember you saying this, but I came across you saying that obviously the Marvel universe is, the foundation of the Marvel universe is based on daddy issues. So
that's true.
I'm with you, and it killed me. And you're 100%. Well, that's why, like I said, I went through my pull box, and I'm like, yeah, all right, Hulk, Spider-Man, yeah, all right, Reed, yeah. Tony, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, to be writing Aquaman and to be, playing with mothers.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah. So, so
it's an entirely different thing, so...
But could you say the Marthas and Aquaman... I forget the princess's name, Aquaman's mother's name.
Atlanta.
Oh, okay, of course.
Atlanta is Aquaman's mother, and then, we've got Mother Shark and Mother Nama.
Yeah, I liked all the Mother Shark conversations and that whole... Yeah. Reflection. Go on.
Yeah, I love Mother Shark. I'm really fond of Mother Shark. But and then the character of Nama is Mother Salt, the ancient mother from the creation myth, which writing a creation myth was a lot of fun too. And I stole heavily from the Enuma Elish, but not entirely. So just sort of coming from the Marvel universe, I'm used to playing with dad stuff, and playing with mom stuff was kind of fun.
Cool. So do you think, in general, that was kind of Ken's question, do you think the DC universe is built on mother issues, or is, just...
No, not so much. I think the challenge of the DC universe for me is... The DC universe heroes are so powerful, and they're so distanced from their humanity. So in Marvel, all of the heroes are sort of street level people who have bills to, not all of them, but in some basic level, most of the Marvel universe are street level heroes that have bills to pay and problems and lives to lead, and the Marvel heroes are us. And in the DC universe, it's more classic fantasy. They are the outsiders who are coming to save us.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
They're gods and aliens, and so and that's kind of at the core, at the, there are exceptions because the two companies have stolen from each other so much over the years, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a problem with today's sensibilities. The Marvel universe sort of is a more natural fit. It just kind of makes more sense. And Americans, we like underdogs, Mm-hmm. And that kind of, it's easier to understand and connect to the humanity of the sort of, I have to do the right thing and I also have to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Than it is,
I'm here to save you.
Yeah. Or, I have the, power of a legion of gobbledygook, you know what I mean? It's just wait, what? And ultimately, all of this stuff has to connect to our humanity for these stories to matter. We always talk about does story matter? I have this whole, it's all about continuity and what you have to read because the stories don't matter. Oh my God, none of it's real, you guys. It matters if it makes you feel something.
Sure.
If it matters, if it connects you to your humanity in some way, then it matters. Then a story matters. It's the only thing about a story that matters, not, whether or not it ties into continuity. But we may have to agree to disagree on that.
So moving forward, that's, obviously Black Adam is coming, and Mara and Aquaman have to deal with the child coming, and now that Arthur remembers who
Black
he is.
Manta.
I'm sorry. What did I say? Black Adam?
You said Black Adam.
Yeah, Black Manta. Excuse me. Very different. Yeah. So so Arthur has to kind of, now that he knows who he is, kind of come to terms with, what's to come and what has happened.
And the two of them have to get over themselves.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing that has to happen. Like, they have to. And look, like, I'm not trying to break them up.
No, but it's drama.
I really wanted, just from a writerly perspective, I'll be 100% honest with, I can't remember the name of the gentleman who wrote in, but like, from a writerly perspective, for one thing, I needed to get her off the page for a minute because she's so strong and so powerful and so mesmerizing and such a great character. She can overshadow him very easily. And the book does, for better or worse, have his name on it. And I needed to get to know him as him. So I needed her to take a minute. I needed,
Yeah.
And then I could bring them back together. But look, my intention, I've all of the respect in the world for their relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think they're a great couple. I would like to see them as a married couple if I can make it happen. I can't make those promises. I don't have that power, but I'm trying. I did get permission for a baby, so that's something,
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
And it's easier. I want them, their relationship is so powerful and I think so physical that I want you to feel like the water heats up around them. It's true.
I get it. No, that's great.
And in order for that to be the case, I need for his personality to feel as complete and as strong and as specific as hers does.
Yep.
And so I needed a minute to build that. So now I feel like I know who he is. Now I have a sense of like how he feels in his skin, and now I have a place, and now they've got a thing. They have to get over themselves and get back together and figure this out and figure out how the hell they're going to make it work. Because they have a baby coming.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think that makes them more vulnerable, obviously, as well, as it did. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead. No.
And if you know the history in previous continuities.
Yes, go on. Yeah.
That's real ugly.
Yep.
Right?
Steve Skates, absolutely. Death of Aqua Baby, everybody remembers. It broke our hearts.
Yeah.
And it really was. It was like, whoa, what the hell did you just do? These are comic books. That's not supposed to. Yeah, the worst happened, and that's not supposed to happen. Absolutely. Crazy shit, man. Absolutely.
And look, I'm a mom. I do not want to write that.
I'm with you.
That is not my intention. Is not to bring back a kid so I can kill it.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
But that is hanging. That history is hanging over the character for the fandom, and that's scary. And being a parent is scary, and yeah. So there's real life stuff, and I'm trying in like things that the real human beings can connect to. Like, you can't connect to what it is to be, it's fun to imagine, but you're not guardian of the ocean or king of it or queen of Atlantis, but you can try to figure out what it is to balance the responsibilities of parenthood with having your own life.
Sure. Absolutely.
Or the differing kind of natural divisions of the responsibilities of rearing a child between a man and a woman too,
Yep.
like,
yes,
it's complicated and hard. And it's interesting stuff that we can kind of have in the mix. And that doesn't mean that they can't also love each other and be like super hot together, but like sometimes they're going to have some problems. Sometimes some stuff is going to not work out immediately. And that doesn't, I mean, if the comic that you're looking for is like, Mara and Aquaman punch the villain of the week, and then go home and Like, that's not the comic I'm going to write. And I'm sorry, someone else may at some point. So sit this one out, and that is okay. And my feelings are not hurt. Like, they can't, they're not going to be for everybody. But if you like them as a couple and you're interested in the strong personalities and you have faith that human beings can overcome conflict and have a stronger relationship for it, then, buckle up, Buttercup.
Atta girl. That's great. Before, let's see if I find a question to support this. No, I don't. It's, I was going to ask, someone wanted to know, returning to more, Adrian Writer, having gone from Marvel to creator-owned to now DC in recent years, do you find returning to more editorial-driven comics freeing as it's unburdening you of your non-writing duties, or constraining as it limits your creative freedom?
Well, no, it's none of those things, honestly.
Okay.
Because I have, with Milk Fed, we have a structure for our comics. So, I don't do like the layouts or production of a comic or anything, even if it's a creator-owned comic. So it's not so much about that. And then also I'm a control freak, so even on books I don't own, I'm getting involved in everything because I can't stop myself.
Okay.
As much as I can,
Yeah.
But
who's your editor, real fast, on DC?
Alex Antone and Andrea Shea assists him.
Okay.
And they're both wonderful.
And are you in the Superman family, the way that DC breaks down the various books and everything, or the Justice League? I don't even know what Aquaman falls under as far as the group.
My big editor is Cunningham.
Yeah.
So
okay, Brian Cunningham.
Yeah, I think that's the Superman.
Okay.
I think he does Superman as well.
Okay.
Because I think Matt does Jimmy, and Jimmy's there too.
Right. Yes. Okay.
So but yeah, I'm day to day. I'm Alex and Andrea.
Okay.
And they're wonderful.
Great.
They are super wonderful.
Good.
So,
well, I'm glad they're giving you room. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, they're great. And, and that's, I don't often have an experience of, knock wood. Do I have anything wood in here I can knock on? Let's see. Oh, we got, knock Formica. I haven't had a lot of no, you can't do that.
Okay, good.
In fact, in the beginning, when I wanted for her to be pregnant, I got told no, and then I kind of needled a little bit.
Good.
And then got my way. So, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not terrible. There's there's always we've got the Year of the Villain stuff happening now, so there's always okay, so I gotta work that in and make sure that dovetails with my plot lines and the timing all works out and everything. But that's that's the nature of shared universe comics.
Yeah.
I think the big difference is, and the retailers are spit when they say my name because I can't get my independent comics out on time. That's the big difference.
Well,
the big difference is if I don't get my DC stuff in on time, then they replace me.
Sure, of course.
Nobody can. You can't replace me on Bitch Planet or Pretty Deadly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
those books never come out on time. Although Pretty Deadly is back.
Yes, ma'am. Let's go into it. Absolutely, man. You and Emma are back. This is good.
We are back, and we're almost done with the entire arc.
Hey, great.
So there's
nice.
no way
Genius.
it's not going to ship monthly.
Okay, no, that's good. Good. Fantastic.
So yeah. So we waited a really long time to solicit it, so that we did not run the risk of having anything happen that set us behind. So it will be monthly for the third arc, and then we'll take another break to get ahead for the fourth arc.
That's
but
cool.
It won't be a 2-year break. It'll be a regular, normal human being break.
Okay. What do you want to say about this upcoming arc?
Okay, so Pretty Deadly is conceived for 5 arcs.
So
the first first two are already out, so this is the center. The first volume is a weird Western in comic book genre. And it takes place in the American West. It explores why death. It establishes a new kind of mythology and has an embedded storytelling of the Spanish cantares de Chega, I believe is how you pronounce it. The songs of the blind, which are very much like comics. And then the second volume is a war comic. It is set in World War I. It explores why luck. The embedded storytelling is the Chinese parable. The third volume is a noir murder mystery.
Oh, cool.
In comic genre.
Cool.
It is set in Los Angeles in the 1930s. It's why art. And the embedded storytelling, we have a couple of them in this one. We sort of got nuts. But it's mostly influenced by Lottie Reniger style silent film. But there's also references to Busby Berkeley musical numbers and a couple other crazy things in it.
What is Lottie Reniger known for? Her silent movies.
So she did silent films that were made with paper shadow puppets.
Oh wow! I don't know this. This is cool. Yeah, go on.
So the one she's most famous for is Prince. I think it's Prince Ahmed. I went and saw it, and I, of course, can't pull up the name at the moment here.
What nationality was she? German? Was she? What was she?
Prince Ahmed. That's what it's.
Oh,
that is. Sorry, I'm.
No problem, buddy. Are they? And as you're
I was just getting the name of the film. So
Sure. Is she from Germany or was she in America?
Yes, German film director.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. Go on.
Yeah.
Ufa, maybe.
The Adventures of Prince Ahmed from 1926 is the and it's one of the oldest surviving feature-length animated films.
Wow! Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and like any woman artist,
of course, forgotten by time. Yeah. This is what you do, buddy. Yeah.
Largely disappeared.
Wow.
But her work is really distinctive and phenomenal and beautiful, and so we were playing with a lot of the influence of her work and like the idea of fairy tales. She did sort of like this fairy tale looking stuff.
That's cool. Wow.
In this museum. So that's pretty big. And then the fourth volume will go back in time. Right now we are planning on that being a shorter volume. So they've always been 5 issues. And right now we're talking about the fourth volume as being 3 issues.
Okay.
Not 100% on that yet. But it'll, right now we're talking about it being 3 issues. It'll go back in time to the Vikings landing in North America.
Cool.
The genre will be a romance comic, and it'll be why love. And then the final volume will return to the timeline. It'll take place in during the Great Depression, and it will be why hope.
Interesting.
And it will also end. So there's 3 levels of storytelling in Pretty Deadly. There's the Immortals, Bunny and Butterfly.
Yes, indeed. Yes, our storytellers. Yes.
Yes, and then Sarah's family, and and each volume has a story that's complete for Sarah's family. So, in the first one, it was Sarah. In the second one, it's her son. In the third, it's Clara, her granddaughter. And then, we move forward, and each one well, Sarah's family won't actually be in 4.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But Sarah's family's story wraps up in each issue, or rather not in each issue, rather in each arc. Mm-hmm. But the 5th volume will also end. It'll wrap up. There'll be an ending to the story of the Immortals and an ending to the story of Bunny and Butterfly.
That's cool. That's excellent. So, like, for the language of this 3rd arc and it being 30s noir and everything, are you and Emma watching the same? Is she watching the same movies? Were you? How much shared language is there and or what is she contributing in terms of inspiration of noir and things like that? If she is. It's insane. Like, I should send you pages. Well, I loved how you guys set up the blog and you over on Tumblr or whatever, and you guys would just kind of like throw up images as you were creating the first arc and everything.
We haven't done that in a long time because because we were off the shelves for 2 years, sure. And like to show stuff when there wasn't a book coming out seemed like I've stopped. I wince every time I mention Bitch Planet now because, like, I know the next question is going to be, well, like, when's the comic coming back?
Sure.
I'm like,
well, yeah, you guys are awesome. You and Val are fantastic. That's a great book. Absolutely, man.
Yeah. So
and
I mean,
started
I
a movement
get it.
with that. Yeah.
It's a fair question, and I don't want to say anymore and be wrong.
Okay, buddy. Yeah.
So, like, all I can say that's honest and true is we are working on it.
Okay. Okay.
But we move very slowly on this book. So anyway, but yes, we stopped updating that blog with Pretty Deadly stuff, and we should. But like if I know some of our covers for the 3rd arc are out, and they're just like Emma just reinvents herself. Like, it's still recognizably Emma. But it's like, oh, that's new. I've never seen that before, and we meet some new Reapers in this arc. So, like, in the first one, you met the Reapers of Good Luck and Bad Luck, and the Reaper of Cruelty and the Reaper of Vengeance, and the second arc, Fear and Courage. And you spend a lot more time with Good Luck and Bad Luck in the second arc. In the 3rd arc, you meet the Reapers of Hunger, Thirst, and Obsession. And with all of them, like, Emma's just, like, completely outdone herself. So Hunger is also sort of fame, and Thirst is also sort of addiction.
Okay.
And so she's gone, like heavy horror with both of them, but in this way that's almost that again with the Lottie Reniger touchstone, it's like this like innocent horror, like this children's horror, but it's somehow more terrifying because of it. We keep talking about Jan Svankmeyer's Alice. As being a touchstone for the two of us, which isn't noir at all, but it's creepy.
Okay,
it's like a story of Alice in Wonderland done with stop motion animation, but it's crazy creepy. And so there's something of that to it, but like Hunger is this, big fat man who's kind of he's like snakes coming out of his mouth, and Thirst is like his opposite. She's this spiny, bony woman who's like all tongues, Yeah, they're like nasty.
That's good. That's
no, but it's at the same time, like, without this making any sense,
you're killing me.
It's beautiful.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I do know. No, Emma's amazing, man. No, I love that you guys are working together and going as batshit as you guys do. No, I think that's great.
Yeah. No, I mean, she's really, really amazing. I'm very lucky I'm lucky to have her friendship. And I feel that way I think I have a really, really good taste in.
I think you do too. As your collaborators, yeah.
Really, really good taste in collaborators because I feel like we just become family. You know, the people that I work with have been very lucky over the years that so many of them have just come to feel like family, and certainly Emma and Val feel like family. Like, you know, Val's bringing his kids to my house and his wife, and we're going to have, like, you know, shared family vacation.
Oh, that's terrific. Hey, that's great. That's awesome.
Then,
he's awesome. I love Val. Val's very cool. I haven't talked to him in a while since, you know, you guys were active with Bitch Planet. That's the last time I talked to Val and everything. But
you got to get another spot so you can do that.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so it's yeah.
Cool.
So it'll be on time. This volume of Pretty Deadly will be on time. Woo.
Excellent. Well, that's great. And so September for Pretty Deadly?
Yes, September 4th.
Excellent.
September.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. Good. Well, then when I see you at Rose City, the you know, first issue will be out, and we'll. Oh
my gosh! Yeah, you're right.
So
this
is
exciting.
Good.
I haven't quite put that together. You're right.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's excellent. Very cool. I got to ask you about the Captain Marvel phenomenon that's happened this year. And, you know, I did not notice you in your cameo, and it took a screen cap. They're like, oh, yeah, there she is. Of course, there she was.
My kids didn't catch it either.
So as a collaborator on the movie, what did you know, tell me about, you know, whatever process happened as far as your involvement with the movie.
Yeah, Marvel Studios called my agent in LA, and we're like, you know, we'd like to talk to Kelly Sue about some involvement in the movie, and he was like, she would like that, and so the first thing they had me do was just kind of come down and talk to them about the character for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and then they offered me a formal consulting agreement, and then I did that for, I think it was about 1.5 years. I'm not entirely certain of that.
Wow.
But, yeah, so sort of an on and off gig, you know?
Sure.
Just like, hey, we want you to read this draft and give us some notes, or hey, we want you to watch this cut and give us some notes. And that's what I do. And I read a lot of drafts. And then I, watched a bunch of different cuts, and I had to fly in to watch the first one, which was pretty exciting.
That's fun.
But then
Absolutely,
they set me up to be able to watch them on my computer, which I was then like terrified of. Like I would kick everybody out of my office and close the door just for, you know, like I just didn't want to be like the one the reason like anything got leaked. And
that's hilarious. Not even your own family. Yeah. You're killing me.
I know. Like and my kids knew I was worried, but all I could just see like my kid, you know, my kids can't keep secrets. They're kids, you know.
Tallulah blabs it on social media. You wouldn't believe what's going to happen.
I mean, they're not really on social media, but they could say something at school. I don't know. You know what? Better safe than sorry. So yeah. But like, the kids knew I was working on the movie. They did not. I managed to keep the cameo secret. They did not know that. And so, you know, when Henry had gone to see Infinity Gauntlet, he, at the end of the movie, when they showed the pager, he goes, "That's my mom," which, like, was just about the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
That's
you know?
fantastic.
And,
absolutely.
And so I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be amazing," right? So I managed to keep the cameo as a secret, and like they get invited to the premiere as well, and it's like, you know, in the Dolby Theater where they do the Oscars, and like the Thunderbirds are there, and like all of Tallulah's heroes from all of her Disney shows are there, and like, you know, it's just the great, and Henry looks incredibly cool in all the pictures, but he like leans over to his dad and goes, "I'm freaking out," you know, which is great. I'm just like, this is, and I'm like, I've peaked as a mom. I got to sell y'all to the circus after this because I'm never doing any better, right? And
so yeah, all their TV stars are there to see this movie that is made because of what you did.
Yeah, and
they get it,
right? And
they're what? Say it again, buddy.
They're flipping out.
Sure,
they're flipping out.
Yeah.
Like,
but are they putting that connection of like, hey, we're seeing this because of what Mom wrote?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yes, I guess.
I'm not saying that aren't that great, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's certainly not the important thing. I know. Can we be friends with McKenna Grace? Like that kind of thing, right?
How many of them knew about your involvement in it? Honestly, did they know? Did they read? Do they? Are they comic book fans? Are they?
Who are we talking about?
The Disney stars. Did any of them say, hey, I was reading Carol. This is fantastic.
Oh yeah. Like in particular, Chris Talman, the gentleman who is on one of the Disney shows that my daughter loves, the Thundermans.
Okay.
He's a big comics guy.
Awesome.
Huge comics guy. Legit comics guy.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's excellent.
And in fact, it was and just super nice too. He's just a really nice man. So one time Tallulah was watching the Thundermans and I was like, oh, hey, I'm kind of Twitter friends with that guy. And she was like, what? Yeah, show me right now, So yeah, all that's happening. We get in the theater. We have they gave us amazing seats.
Cool.
We're
good.
Right in the middle, in the middle of the house. It feels as though this whole thing is constructed right around us. It's just amazing. And I got one kid on my left and one kid on my right, and Matt's on the other side of Tallulah, and just the whole thing's just perfect. And I'm getting really nervous as we're getting to the subway scene, and I know the cameo's coming, and it comes and goes, and the kids don't acknowledge it at all. And I finally, I lean over to Henry and I go, "Did you see Mommy?" And he goes, "No." Okay.
Thank God for screen caps. It's all right.
Yeah, thanks. So we did do a screening here in Portland for friends and family.
Oh, that's great.
Stuff. Yeah, but in fact, Ron from Rose City helped. He and his crew put that together. I just showed up. They were amazing.
That's fantastic. It's well deserved. Yeah, absolutely, man. Come on, local girl makes good. Goddamn right. Absolutely.
They were super, super, super great. And but anyway, the kids went to that to watch it again. And this time, I was like, "No, you watch for your mother." So.
Did you ever talk to Brie Larson about the character?
Yeah, although I was on the set for a day,
okay,
and visited with her a bit, and we did some. I can't remember what they call it. They asked us a bunch of questions for the extras, and she and I chatted. Yeah. And then we had a little time to chat, just the two of us. But interestingly, we didn't really. She was halfway through the movie. I was not. Sure. I'm not the director. I wasn't going to be like, "Let me tell you about the character." I was like, "You got it at this point, right?" So, so we just kind of talked, which is really nice. She's lovely. She was easy to talk to. She was really nervous about how being part of the Marvel universe was going to affect her life,
sure,
as a human being.
Sure.
Because even as she was already a big star and an Oscar
Absolutely.
winner, and
yes,
and still being part of Marvel universe is a different animal. That's a whole other level of fame.
Not that we would know, but don't you think? Because this was my problem with the movie Birdman. Forgive me to interrupt, but the problem that Keaton's character had in terms of, I'm known for being this Batman sort of hero. I want to do legitimate stuff. To me, that's a 90s problem, because I think Downey and I think other actors have proven that they can still do interesting things. And at Johnny Depp, I mean, now it hasn't happened as much for a woman. I mean, so I'm sure it is slightly different. But yeah, so what do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's a sort of...
It's a legitimate concern.
To me, that's like a Leonard Nimoy problem, to be honest with
there you go, buddy. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
I think it's a little bit dated.
Yeah,
it's a little bit dated, like the idea that like if you can't do both film and television.
Yeah. It's funny because I used to say an Adam West problem, but exactly.
Yeah. But I think that world has changed. And I think that coming into it for Brie as having already been an Oscar.
Yeah. Accepted for legitimate theater. Yes. Or if you will. Yes. The movie equivalent.
Movie star. It's a different thing there as well. But I mean, I think just like not so much as like limiting her casting, but rather just like the level of fame.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
Was what she was concerned about.
That's an Alec Guinness problem. That's something Alec Guinness certainly grew to resent in his later years and everything that most kids
I mean, I think
thought of him as Obi-Wan.
Lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people who have very high profile lives and jobs, and being in comics, we have this kind of beautiful balance of like, I'm super famous at a comics convention, and then the second I walk out the door, I'm fine. You
coined the phrase, buddy. Comic book famous, absolutely. I know.
You're comic book famous, right? Like you have trouble crossing the floor at New York Comic Con without having to stop to do autographs. But like the minute you walk out that door, you go get ice cream. You're just like some mom.
Yep, another schmuck, absolutely.
Yeah, unless you are me or my husband, and you go to IKEA.
You're superstars at IKEA. Interesting.
I don't know what the Venn diagram of our comic book readers and people who shop at IKEA is a perfect circle.
I kind of see that. Absolutely. What are you talking about? I shop there. Absolutely, man. You're killing me.
I mean, we go there. That's how we manage to see people there. So we also shop at IKEA frequently. But yeah, it's the funniest thing. Like, I mean, and I don't care. We have like really, really great fans. I have no horror stories. Our fans are always very respectful. People are sometimes hesitant to say hello if we have the kids with us, which I understand and appreciate, but they're like, I don't want to interrupt you because I know, you're having family time. I just want to say like, I love your books or whatever. And it's like, hey, that's incredibly kind. What's your name?
Somebody asked about that, and this is a good opportunity to kind of ask this question, and really was asking about for both of you, and I will ask Matt when he and I talk as well. But honestly, I mean, Christ, when we set this up, we're talking in the middle of your afternoon, and I'm like, really? You got time? You've got like activity age kids. I'm like, and your regular professional life. Like, and again, I'm not asking this as a woman question. I'm asking this as a parent question. How do you balance?
Well, no, I don't have time. I made special
and God bless you, honey. I appreciate that.
But Alex and Andrea hate you right now because they're literally waiting for script from me. But I have I try to have protected time, and this doesn't always work out, but I try to have protected time from 8 a.m. To 2 p.m.
Okay.
That is my, like, do not interrupt me, work time during the day. Mm-hmm. Like, this week that has gone to shit, but that is the goal.
Gotcha.
So we don't generally schedule, we've got folks that work for us that help us with all the admin stuff and do the scheduling and they try to keep all of my scheduling until 2:00. But like, you're my third phone call in a row.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
So I've been on the phone since 2, and I'll be on the phone until, we finish up. Okay. And then, and we'll try to, get dinner on the table. And then it's Wednesday night. Henry usually does D&D on Wednesday nights.
Nice.
And T and I sometimes do Taekwondo on Wednesday nights, but we went last night, so we probably won't tonight. And we do Taekwondo Tuesday, Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, and Saturdays. So we try to do 3 times a week. Sometimes it's 4 times a week.
That's fantastic. So, that's excellent.
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The kids have some camps during the summer.
Oh, great.
My mother-in-law lives with us, which helps a lot with managing the household.
Sure.
And the kids, and being able to, last night, Brian and Greg Rucka and Matt do these planning meetings over at Brian's house that they call Metropolis City Council meetings.
Sure. You told me about them, yeah.
Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen and Superman, and so there was a. We went to Taekwondo last night and had dinner at the grocery store next to the Taekwondo studio, and then came home and Matt showered real quick and went to the Metropolis City Council meeting, and I got the kids to bed. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I get up and go. Matt goes to yoga, and I go do weightlifting.
That's excellent.
At 6.
Okay.
But my trainer's on vacation this week, and I'm supposed to have been getting up and going by myself, but weirdly, I've been sleeping in. So my fat, weak ass is, sleeping in.
I hear you, man.
Is well rested. That's how I mean to finish that sentence. Is well rested.
Atta girl. There you go. You sound reasonably rested, and especially given that I'm your third phone call for the afternoon. If you're faking it, you're doing a good job. Because no, this is great. I wanted to ask about the TV writing because and really just your universal writing in general. Because I wondered, like it seems like both of you are doing great in that area and getting great opportunities. And you mentioned the project with Cassidy that didn't happen, but and I mentioned Emerald City. You got to write an episode, at least one episode of that. More than one?
Yeah, no, one episode.
Okay,
I worked on one episode of that. Yeah.
But yeah, so how's TV writing going? How's Universal writing going in general?
So we finished up with Universal, and we're with Legendary now.
Hey, that's awesome! Congratulations! And not to make myself forgive me for patting myself on the back, but as I understand, the Legendary offices are Word Balloon fans, which is really nice to hear. Jan was telling me this.
They yes, we're not working with Legendary Comics at this point, although they are super wonderful people, and I've met with them a couple times and I quite like them. But we're working with Legendary Television, and Nick Pepper and Matt King over there, and they're great. They're like legit great. Like real comics folks who know us and get us. And here's the nicest thing I can say about a human being, probably. Matt King is so good at his job that I had a 2-hour notes call that I got off of on a pilot that I'm working on for him, feeling like $1 million. Like I had 2 hours worth of notes of revisions I have to do on this. And I ended that call feeling like these are great notes. I love this project. I'm having a blast. Like any other human being gave me 2 hours of notes and I'd put a bullet in my head, Like I literally got off that call and like went in and talked to my husband and was like, Matt King is real good at his job.
Excellent.
Because somehow that was great, It's really hard to explain to somebody like that hasn't done it what it is to like, write, 60 pages of a streaming pilot and then, and you intellectually, your work has just started, but it just feels like you just finished this huge thing and you don't want to hear anything. You want to hear it's great.
Sure.
And like to get 2 hours of notes on it and to come out feeling like, oh yeah, this is a lot of work that really understands the work that's there and is going to make everything better, is pretty amazing. But man, he's just like, he's got people skills like you would not believe. He knows comics and he's got a really good, like, he doesn't try to tell you what to do. He tries to tell you what he thinks the problem is. It's not like you never feel like Matt is just giving notes to change something.
Okay.
Or worse, in order to sell this, we need you to that,
Okay.
Which always just like, I understand that there are realities of the business, but for some reason that phrasing just makes me want to murder people.
Sure. Yeah.
And he always is like, so here's a question, and it's always really thoughtful and it's always really strong. Like, I'd work with him on anything. He's a tremendous, tremendous dude. And you would bond with him not only because of a shared love of comics and, just being thoughtful, smart dudes that can have great conversations, but also he got bit by a rattlesnake.
Oh, Jesus.
And like, yeah.
Went through the same shit that I just went through.
Just went through the same shit that you just went through.
Holy shit,
yeah.
Damn.
Like, was hiking in LA and got bit by a rattlesnake. And
wow.
That was a thing that happened.
Jesus Christ. Are they?
And he's also British, so he's like really matter of fact about it. It's just like, so I'm going to be, on bed rest for 3 weeks. Was bit by a rattlesnake. Like, what?
I told you about my nonsense. Absolutely, man. Jesus. No, that sucks. Do they have a direct pipeline to a specific streaming service, or are they, just kind of at the dance and whoever's interested in what they're doing?
Yeah, I think they can sell to anybody.
Sure they can. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I think, this is clearly, I'm paying really close attention, but, yeah, the project that they've got me working on right now, I wish I could tell you more about it, but I can't. But, the project that they have me working on right now, they have me actually just going ahead and writing the pilot because it's very unusual and it would be hard to pitch. It's just easier to be like, here, read this,
Okay.
So, but we're having a great time, and I cannot speak of them highly enough. And I'm like that. I mean, I'm always would like to be a sincere person, or and not say anything if I didn't have something nice to say. But like, I genuinely, if anybody out there is thinking about working with Legendary, like, these are good dudes. And women.
Well, okay, yeah, of course, yeah. We mean the collective dudes. I'm with you though, but I'm with you. To
me, it's gender neutral. I know a lot of people have problems with that, but for me,
Cal, honestly, it's a minefield out there because I feel the same way. And sometimes when the NBA and the basketball player that took offense to owners referring to themselves as owners, I'm like, well, they own the company. You're not a slave. You're an employee. And sorry, but you are an employee, and they do own the business. I mean, it's like that's a reality, and that's where I kind of feel like, and I truly, again, my own self-perception, I feel like I'm on the right side of some of these things, or I try to be. But yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, come on.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also get that. Like, I also get, like, it's because it's real hard to watch the draft and not see a slave auction, dude.
Wow, I guess. Well, I mean, again, I'm not a person of color, but I get it.
Bodies bidding mostly on black bodies.
Yeah,
No, like,
I guess.
I mean, have you read the Steve Almond book? What is it called? Shit, hold on.
No problem.
The Steve Almond football book.
No,
it's a real read
about the NFL draft and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I hear you.
It is problematic. At the same time, words mean things, and somebody is a team owner because they own the team. I get it, but there is a kind of history there that is like, I also get why that would be a problem.
I guess I wish my buddy Gail Sayers was a little more lucid, because unfortunately he's suffering from dementia these days, and I love that man. He was truly a hero to me as a kid, and I got to know him as an adult. But I mean, that's the thing. I can think of old NFL players, and certainly they were much more restricted in terms of not only the money they made, but they had to fight for their own opportunities in the off season and make it. It forgive me again as a non-player. It seems to me that even if you only have a cup of coffee, this is a great opportunity, and also just gives you a nest egg that you can do whatever you want when football, wherever the sport ends. Yeah, well, there's certainly. Hey, believe me. Yeah, I get it. And then Gail's suffering from that. Go. Yeah.
The book's called Against Football.
Go on.
It's a Steve Almond book. I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
And it's written by someone who absolutely fucking loves football and is like, and this is super problematic.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it is super problematic. And I think that there are racial issues that you and I, as two white people, can't quite fully grok, as the nerds say.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And also to say that, what people were fine with it in days past doesn't mean that it was okay.
No, I understand. Fine
with a lot of ugly shit in days past.
Yeah.
Right? She's fine with the boss that smacked her on the ass, right?
Yeah.
Do that to yourself with your fucking arm off.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Absolutely, yeah. No, you're right. You're right, bud. And truly, I mean, honestly, and I, as I always tell you, I appreciate our conversations in particular because honestly, you do make me step back and go, you're right. I mean, even just the basic thing of that the hero forever has been the blonde white man. Or just just even something as innocuous as, the Shadow. And it's like, oh, yeah, you mean a white man that basically did culturally appropriate all these, powers and, of the Mystic East and everything. And it's like, yeah.
Dudes who are like, I don't care if it's written by a man or a woman or a black person or a white person. Like, if you make good shit, then I'm going to buy it. But what they really mean is, if you make shit that reads like it was written by a white guy, then it'll be fine with me. Don't call attention to who you are. Don't give me a different perspective. Don't what they mean. Just make good shit. It doesn't usually really mean just make good shit. It means don't make me notice your identity.
That's interesting, and I can appreciate thinking that point of view. But I also think because it then flies in the face of what gets me angry of stay in your lane, and someone could accuse you of stay in your lane. What are you doing writing Aquaman? How dare you? And it's like, well, wait a minute, man.
But only white dudes have to stay in their lane. I mean, don't have to stay in their lane, right? So,
no, I mean, of course not. I mean, and again, it's, honestly, I was expecting Greg to get a lot more shit for Lois Lane in today's environment. I don't know if he is or not. I honestly don't know if he is or not.
No, he's not, and it's the classic thing that you and I always make this joke, but I'm like, the best Spider-Woman I have ever read was written by Brian Bendis, and Bendis is neither a spider nor a woman. So this stuff is really sticky.
Yes.
And it's hard, and it's like, on the one hand, there are certainly people who can write from first-person experience who have the ability to tell stories from a perspective that is unique, and they need to tell those stories. On the other hand, if we only ever write from our own experience, we are going to be a library full of narcissists, and it will be the death of empathy. Right?
Yes.
It's going to be everybody fucking looking in a mirror. So why it is important to read widely, and why it is important to write widely, and why it is important to think about this shit. And there are no easy answers. And it's also okay to be like, yeah, this is complex and it's not clear and easy and simple. And you can't just be like, if it's,
Bud, you're awesome. I seriously, I like you going down this road with me. Go on. Whatever.
And look, and I'm happy to do it with you where I wouldn't with most people, because I know you're listening.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, I want to know. I want to know.
And you're funny and you're smart, and I like you, and you like comics, and we have a good time talking about this stuff.
Damn straight
right?
we do. Yeah, I'm glad you think so too. Yes.
And and it's complicated.
It is complicated. I completely agree.
I genuinely believe that Bitch Planet it is largely a book about women of color. And it is written by a white woman and drawn by a black man.
Yep.
And I believe to the core of my being that incurs a debt. Especially because it is a commercial venture.
Sure.
It is a book designed to make money, not a lot of money, but some money. It is written by a white woman and drawn by a black man and tells the story of women of color, a space that neither one of us inhabit, right?
Yes.
Now, I felt very unsafe going into this space. I have worked and listened to try to tell stories and create characters that feel authentic. Whether or not I fucked that up in any regard is actually sort of beside the point of the fact that I believe that this incurs a debt. But, the Bitch Planet triple feature anthology was our first effort. Well, no, it wasn't our first effort. It was like our second effort at trying to pay into that debt.
Yes.
We also try to pay into the debt by doing the back matter and giving hiring preference for the essayists.
Yes.
To women of color. And really trying to share the microphone and share the platform with the triple feature. We wanted to bring more women of color into the industry by giving them a publishing experience so that they could take that sample work and go get more work. And that's real.
Yes.
Yes. And it doesn't mean, clearly we can do the book and we do the book. And the book is done very well. So I don't think I can't write these stories. I clearly think I can write these stories. I have written these stories, right?
Yes.
But I also think that there's a carbon tax.
I understand.
For this stuff.
That's a good way to put it. I get it. Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic.
So I think we have to have a consciousness of how we fit into our communities and how can we do the least harm? How can we leave this world? How can we live the ethics of the heroes of these stories that are our bread and butter? How can we leave the world better than we found it?
I'm with you. Atta girl. Yeah, you see, this is, again, I really appreciate when we do this because I appreciate your perspective, but also I think you come at it with a very pragmatic and earnest point of view that I think does kind of explain where like I said, where sometimes I'll be like, really? Or whatever. But no, I think I'm with you. I get it.
Sweet.
I get it. All right, here's something I'd like to wrap up.
I like you too.
All right, thanks, buddy. Good Lord. You know that. I'm going to hug the hell out of you when I see you and Maddie. You guys, I swear, I say this all the time and I mean it. You guys are like my little brother and sister. You guys crack me up. And because we do. We love all the same shit. And ever since that one night at San Diego years and years ago when you were, with Child and we all sat down and we all talked baseball and had a great time and everything ever since then.
Fun.
Absolutely, man. Are you guys going next week?
No,
Good.
we're not. We
Good
have budget to. I know.
I'm not either.
I know, it's the worst. It's so funny because there was a time when San Diego was my favorite event of the year, and now I'm like, oh, do I have to go? I don't have to go. Woo-hoo!
Has it become the auto show for you? That's my parable because in radio, we all dread doing the auto show. So
yeah, kind of. It's just I know it's no longer. It used to be that it was that's when I'll see my friends from all over the world that I don't usually get to see, and we get to hang out, and it'll be fine. And now it's I run from meeting to meeting. It's 9,000 degrees. None of the meetings are anywhere close to each other. They're always in 10 different hotels, and then walking through the convention is I'm. Please God, don't let there be a fire alarm or I'm dead. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm going to get trampled. And, and then and then you can't actually enjoy a meal with your friends because like, oh, so-and-so and I are going to go get dinner. Oh, great. Well, can we join you? Yeah, now there's 7 of us. There's never going to be a restaurant that's going
exactly
to take 7
right. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And so it's just like, I don't know, we can go up to our room and order room service, I guess. Like, now there's like 6 adults sitting in somebody's fucking hotel room. Like, no.
You're right. You're killing me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the worst.
Oh, man. All right, a quick little fast one before we wrap up. Someone wanted to know who's on your Mount Rushmore of comics.
Who's on my Mount Rushmore of comics? That's a really good question. Wow. I'm going to fuck this up. I know I am. You know what? I had the most fun. I got to go to, I'm kind of dodging the question, but. Okay.
That's all right. You don't have to. It's your prerogative, buddy.
Time to think about it. But I went to, New York, for what did I go to New York? I don't even remember what I went to New York for, but I went to New York, and while I was there, hung out with Phil Jimenez,
cool,
who is doing Historia, the Wonder Woman Amazon history book with me.
Excellent, excellent. Oh yeah, the Black Label show. We're gonna have to talk about that at another time. Go on.
Yeah, it's gonna rock your socks off.
Excellent.
I will send you art because it's astonishing.
Please do, and we'll make sure that we talk like around Rose City about that stuff. But go on, go ahead.
It is astonishing stuff. But anyway, so was hanging out with Phil and Phil's Big Gay Comics Club,
nice.
Which was so awesome. Those are the most wonderful people. And I was having a blast, and they were like, okay, they're big X-Men fans. And they're like, okay, we're gonna play. They play this X-Men fantasy draft game.
Okay.
And they decided they liked me enough that they were gonna let me play the X-Men fantasy draft game.
All right.
But and I was telling this story the other night, and I was like, and the only X-Men I've really read is like Matt.
Sure.
And Bendis goes, thanks. And I was like, shit. I'm like, yeah, but dude, you write like 70,000 books, all right? I can't read them all.
Yeah, sure.
And he's like, yeah, that's fair. But so I was like panicked because I was just like, oh no, I don't know enough X-Men. I don't know.
So like their ideal team, basically, everyone's saying like who they're.
So you have to like draft your team members, and then you have to draft an artist and a writer.
Oh, okay, cool.
And,
that's fun.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole thing. It's really fun, except for the part where it wasn't fun because I didn't know what I was talking about. But so I start. My first pick is Wolverine.
Okay.
And I swear to God, they almost kicked me out. I'm like, we had been getting along so great and everything was so awesome. And then it was just almost like,
go away.
All right, straight girl, out you go. So, I know, it was the worst. And that was my defense too. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm straight, I'm sorry.
Too pedestrian, I imagine. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh my God. You're killing me.
Anyway, I came home and told Matt the story and he was like, that's a solid pick.
Of course it is. Good Lord. That's fantastic.
Anyway, so Mount Rushmore, I'm afraid of getting asked to leave again. But all right, my Mount Rushmore of comics. Do they mean characters or creators?
They mean creators. That might creators. And it's okay. And then I know if this was an essay question, I apologize because I mean
that's okay. All right, so I am gonna go.
Well, to you,
Yeah. All right. So it's got. Curvy.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Because literally I would ask to leave. And also, it's deserved.
Sure.
But, okay, just for me personally.
Yeah.
All right, for me personally,
there's no right answer. Go on. Yeah, it's you. You're going to get it right no matter what. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to take Kirby off.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Not because I don't love him and think he's a genius, because I do, but because the ones that I always go back to and the ones that sort of affect me more are more modern.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Matt Fraction.
Aw. And I don't blame you. He's a genius. All right. Don't worry.
Yeah. Warren Ellis.
Okay. Another genius.
Neil Gaiman.
Another genius.
And then Brian Bendis, which sounds like I'm kissing up to my friends, but Brian's dialogue, his gift for dialoguing was really, really influential on me. And it really made me feel welcome in comics. It made me feel very connected to comics. It's hard for me not to put Sienkiewicz on there as well, because his work brought me back to comics after I had left.
Interesting.
But I'm just kind of going with writers.
Okay. Well, real fast with Sienkiewicz, at what point, like around what time did he bring you back?
Elektra.
Okay, 80s. Yeah. Elektra Assassin.
Yeah,
Sure.
I was in high school and I hadn't really read comics in a while.
Sure.
And my friend Elaine Dove, slipped me a copy of Elektra.
One of my favorites. Absolutely. Yeah, good Lord.
And it was a sort of like first one's free kind of thing. You know?
And also just his painterly style was so anti.
And it was nothing I'd ever seen before.
Completely
and
agree.
It really gave me this, it's the same feeling that I had from Brian's dialogue. It just gave me this feeling that right, comics can be anything.
Yep.
You know? And then I just love Matt's stuff because, and I know I'm super biased. Yes, he's my husband, so get over it. But Matt thinks about comic structure and storytelling structure in a way that my brain is just not capable of. You know, he can't tell a story linearly. He just doesn't know how, you know, that's just not how his brain works. And that is fascinating to me. And he just sort of explodes story and is always kind of challenging what comics can do in a way that's really interesting to me. And then I'm just in love with Ellis's sense of humor. There's a humanity to his characters because even in the face of the world falling apart around them, even though his books are ostensibly bleak, they're not, because everybody is so funny and full of life and hope. You know, even when they're not, even when they're even when they're like him, even when they're sort of crotchety, grumpy old bastards. They are secretly optimists and lovers and comedians, you know?
I do. That was good. And Gaiman, of course, you know. And
then, Sandman.
Sure.
It's just it's dude did one comic, but it was the comic that changed everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, also an incredibly kind and gracious human being and a natural storyteller. But if you read any of my work and don't see the Sandman nods, or influence rather, you're reading one with one eye closed.
Okay. I like it. All right, I'm wrapping up with you, buddy, because you were great and we're slightly over time. But this was fantastic, as always. Keep up the great work. Very excited that Pretty Deadly's coming back.
Me too.
Yeah, hell yeah. And we're looking forward to talking to you more in September about the Black Label stuff with Wonder Woman. And Aquaman's a trip, as always. So truly, buddy.
Thank you, sir. I'm having a blast.
Well, as I always tell you, I really appreciate your point of view. I appreciate you sharing time with me. And I'm always you're always welcome back. So if it's going to help, please reach out. But you can be guaranteed, especially now that I'm back on the mend, I'll be bugging you in a couple of months, and we'll talk again.
Oh, thank you, buddy. And I'm so sorry that I was out of the loop and didn't know.
Nah,
I'm sorry.
Please, good Lord.
Glad you're feeling better.
Everything's fine. Thanks, Kel. How about it, Kelly Sue Deconnick, my friend. Always happy to talk to her. Happy birthday, Kel. Many more. My best to the family, Fraction, and the kids. And I'm really excited. In September, I'm going to Portland to cover Rose City. And, I can easily name 24 Portland-based creators that I am good friends with, acquaintance with, friendly enough with that I don't mind finding if they'll have time. But I'm going to do a deep dive in Portland while I'm there and hopefully set up some really interesting and unique word balloon conversations. That's the plan. And I hope to grab a few minutes with Kelly Sue and Matt, if not before Rose City, then certainly during it when they might have a free moment, hopefully. We'll see. But very, very excited about Rose City, and really excited about Terrificon as well, which is less than a month away. So as much as I'm bummed that I'm not going to San Diego, it's not the auto show yet for me, like I mentioned to Kel. It's still a lot of fun, but I just can't swing it. Thank God, I'm like really close to them, like letting me walk more than a few thousand steps a day. And I asked them about Terrificon. They're like, yeah, you'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, good. So that's good. So I'm slowly kind of trying to build back up to that. The wound, and Kel mentioned it at the end of the talk as well. We were supposed to talk, like I said, in December, but then I went down with the infection, and I never bothered to schedule it. And so, here we are 7 months later, 8 months later. But the good news is that, the infection's really going well as far as finally healing, and the doctors are very... optimistic about it in terms of, like, we don't think we'll have to see you weekly for very much longer. Hopefully before the end of the month. At least that's the battle plan. But thanks again for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners via Patreon. If you want to subscribe to Word Balloon, if you like the content that you hear, Word Balloon is free, but if you want to help out the cause, you can go to patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. And like I've been saying, we all miss Vertigo. It's interesting, as I'm recording this rap for Kelly Sue, I talked to Mike Norton today, and, we were talking about the demise of Vertigo. And he said, well, and he's right, and you'll hear it in our Word Balloon conversation. He's like, a lot of other publishers are filling that void, and had been already, even while Vertigo was still around. Aftershock is certainly one of those, and I know that my buddies like Tim Seeley with his book Dark Red, and Dark Arc from Cullen Bunn, Animosity from Marguerite Bennett, and Donny Cates' Baby Teeth, and A Walk Through Hell from Garth Ennis, Jimmy's Bastards, another great example. All of these are, I think, books that probably might have found homes at Vertigo had they come out 10 or 15 years earlier, They continue to work with top writers and artists at Aftershock, some of the brightest new stars in the creative community. In fact, you'll find new titles that are coming soon from Matthew Klickstein, You Are Obsolete. Also, out earlier this month, Joe Pruitt's horror anthology Shock is fantastic, and a great collection of artists and writers that you love doing some great horror stories. Cullen Bunn's Knights Temporal is coming up very soon, and these are neat stuff, in the weeks ahead, I'll be talking more with Aftershock creators about these books and other projects. You don't have to wait, though. You'll find full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on these books to order through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. Thanks again for listening to Word Balloon. We got more great stuff coming in July. I cannot believe what's been falling in place the last few days. You're going to have a great month with me. I guarantee it. Until next time, Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions. Copyright 2019.